literally everything in my life changed. Not just one thing, everything. I went from making, but technically it was millions of dollars to $0. Walking to not walking. Being the provider to now being provided for. Like everything changed in like a snap of a finger. The mindset that I had overcoming all that was no matter what, I'm going to get through this.
Ryan Shazier is a two-time Pro Bowl NFL linebacker who defied the odds after a career-ending injury to walk again. But his transition from the field to the boardroom, that was a different kind of fight. Today on the first ever live Thought Leaders, Ryan tells all about the forced pivots which have shaped his life. From the business disasters that drained his bank account to the hard-earned lessons he used to build the Ryan Shazier Fund.
The first business I started, I didn't put as much effort as I needed to, and then also I didn't pay for good people. Shit start rolling downhill.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, literally.
This business is dying. Once you're starting affecting like the food on my kids' plate, like, I gotta shut this down. I look back at that and I have a lot of regret because I look at decisions that I made and it was like, Ryan, you didn't thoroughly go through all the detailed steps that you needed to be successful in this aspect.
What is the comparison between the mourning process, between an entrepreneurial venture that doesn't work out and a career which maybe felt stripped from you too soon?
One of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten from Coach Tomlin, and I read this a lot, is...
Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight in this debut event of On Tap, which is a series from Thought Leaders. My name's Adam Connor. I've met now all of you in person, but Thought Leaders is a show where broadly we connect the top of the world with the bottom of a glass. And that is an arm of my media production business, Authentic Avenue, but this is a fun thing that I've done to sort of drink my own medicine to prove that great content can bring great people together. And so tonight, our guest hardly needs an introduction, although I will do one. I was given one that I should give. But as part of the evening, we have a few partners as well. I did just want to mention them up top, and then we will get into the conversation. First, and perhaps centrally to the evening, is Comos, the brand sponsoring our drinks for the evening, a premium tequila brand. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read a little bit about them real quick. It's an ancient mythical figure of revelry, merrymaking, and festivity. That's what Comos is. His parties were so legendary that thousands of years later, historians and archaeologists are still uncovering relics of the revelry. This brand aims to combine the highest craft of tequila making with ancient winemaking techniques to create the highest quality ultra luxury tequila ever. And like its namesake, Comos turns any moment or event into a timeless expression of revelry because the ultimate luxury is moments measured in millennia. Thank you very much to Comos for sponsoring us tonight. We also have three other partners that I'll mention in a little bit as we move towards the end of the conversation. But as for the house rules tonight, I would just ask for two things. Number one, that you be enthusiastic, an enthusiastic audience member tonight, and I will solicit a question or two maybe at the very end if you have a question for Ryan. However, I will say, for two reasons, we cannot talk football, at least this season's football. The reason being, number one, I'm from Baltimore and I'm a little sore. Okay? So we can't talk necessarily about what happened this weekend. And also, of course, as a member of the Steelers coaching staff, got to wait till off season to talk about everything going on this season with the team. But of course, there's plenty more to talk about tonight. And with that, this is our guest, Ryan Shazier, a former two-time Pro Bowl linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, hailing from the Ohio State University, playing 3 impressive seasons there before being drafted in the first round of the 2014 draft year. I graduated from college too. I'm pretty sure I watched you get drafted all the way up here. We all know the story about what happened to Ryan on the field. I will allow him to tell a little bit of that story up front. But tonight, in line with Thought Leaders and the conversations we like to have, we're going to talk about plenty of stuff off the field too. Ryan told me before this, he's an open book. Everybody already know about a lot of his story, and tonight he'll share some of that with you in the business and entrepreneurial lens. So without further ado, Ryan Shazier, welcome to Thought Leaders.
Hold on, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here tonight.
No, thank you for having me.
So I want to start a little bit with the armor on the field, the armor that's now off, and defining you today. Specifically, we're both transplants. As I just said, I'm from Baltimore. I married into this city. You were drafted into this city. You had great moments on the field. Now that you're not wearing the jersey, What's your relationship like with the city, and what are you all about right now?
Man, that's a loaded question. I would say the relationship I have with the city of Pittsburgh is one where I feel almost like I'm adopted, because, you know, when you're an in-law, sometimes your in-laws might not like you, you know, but
I don't know about that. I got an in-law in the crowd right now, man. Relax.
I'm just saying, hey, you just never know, you know. But when you're adopted, a lot of times it's more by, you know, they chose you, and then, you know, you build a relationship together, and then normally see them come up from, you know, from a little kid until you're getting older. You know, they make mistakes, but they still love you, and that's kind of how I feel when it comes to Pittsburgh. When I first got drafted here, I had a lot of expectations to be the guy. And my first 2 years here, I wasn't the guy, because I was a guy that constantly went through injuries, and people was like, hey, or is it like, there was a lot of expectation, you know, and I didn't feel like I was fulfilling the expectation, because when you think about football, there's 17 games in the season right now. In my first two seasons, I missed 16. So I missed the whole season of football. So it really it was tough for me. But then when I ended up transitioning into being the player that everybody thought I could be, it was like, man, like now this is like two of the best years of linebacker play that we've seen in a long time. And then I get hurt. You know, then as I'm getting hurt, everybody in the city and pretty much around the community, they were there for me. You know, people were there for when I would stand up at hockey games, when, you know, I was taking my first steps, when, you know, I went through a divorce, and, you know, just people, you know, it'll be good and bad here and there, but the city never kind of turned their back on me. And to me, people always ask me all the time, like, Ryan, you don't really have a reason to stay here, you know, but I do have a reason to stay here, because this is my family, you know, so it makes it really easy for me to stay here. The city, to me, I feel like it's home. I actually don't have any family here, but it's really nice to live here, because everybody that I engage with, all my friends, they're my family. And every time I wake up every day, I feel like I'm at home. And so the city of Pittsburgh is home to me. The only time I don't like Pittsburgh is when you go outside and it's less than 50 degrees.
Sure, right. Yeah, right.
So but other than
it
that,
doesn't have an oven.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you are now, you're here in Pittsburgh. You are in a different walk of life. We're going to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey tonight. Starting a business here, you're in front of a crowd of entrepreneurs, Pittsburgh-based entrepreneurs. That's a new sort of armor that you have to build up. You have to be resilient in a different way. How have you built that new armor now that you've done things like the foundation and other ventures, which maybe haven't worked out as well as the foundation, which we'll also talk about too, because that's a part of every entrepreneur's story?
So I think the biggest thing with sports is that you get a lot of lessons through trial and error. And same thing in life. But sometimes what I learned, especially with business, is that you have to put the same effort in business that you did in football or that you did in life. And I noticed the first business I started, I didn't put the same amount of effort into it, and it ended up failing, and it didn't do as well as I thought it would do. And I thought I could just like put money and resources into it, and it's just like, you can put money and resources into it, but if it doesn't have your time or if it doesn't have your energy, you're the reason that it goes. It's not because of just everybody else. Nobody else is going to believe in your vision as much as you do. And I think that's something that I learned, because like I knew that when I played football, nobody's going to believe in Ryan Shazier, the football player, as much as Ryan Shazier does.
Sure. But
when you come up with an idea that's a business, I was thinking like, oh, this is a great idea. Everybody's going to think it's great. So then I had people on my team, and, you know, the leadership that kind of was helping me at the time, I would say, I'm really big on mentorship, but the mentorship I had at the time didn't give me the greatest advice. So to me, I felt like he was like, hey, you know, you have a great idea. You don't have to pay for a lot for people. Just make sure that you know, get people that can just do the job, and, you know, the rest will do itself. And then I ended up finding out, like, I didn't put as much effort as I needed to, and then also I didn't pay for good people. So then you get bad work. People don't really want to be at work. They're complaining about being at work instead of actually complaining about trying to make more money for them and the company.
Yeah.
So then I really found out like, hey, Ryan, all right, the next time you try to do this, the next time you're trying to get into this space, you can't have that same approach. You have to have the approach as if you want to be the all-pro linebacker again, because that's the only way that you're going to succeed in this aspect. So I would say that's the biggest thing that I kind of learned in this transition is just understanding that when you want something to be good and you want something to be great, you have to actually put that time in. You have to actually put that effort. You have to actually care about what you're doing. And every time somebody see you, they know that you and them having the same mission. And then if you want good people on your team, if you want good results, you have to pay for good people. Like you can't just expect to get 9 to 5. I don't mean 9 to 5. You can't expect to get minimum wage and want, $100,000 results. If you want, you have to put you have to put your money where you want to be at. So,
right. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, because picking mentors. We spoke a little bit previously about vetting mentors, which is something that I haven't thought about as much as I should. I don't know the folks in this audience of our first mentors that we ever took. Did we take them because they offered it and we said, oh, wow, somebody's going to teach me something and that's great? Or did we take the time to properly vet them through, something which we'll talk about in a little bit. Now, the transition from on the field to off the field is it's seemingly smooth publicly when everything goes great and those businesses end up being great. And, of course, we have examples of that to point to. But if you missed a play on the field, you'd get burned on SportsCenter. After the fact, in semi-private life, but as a public figure, it's accrued public.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask, what is harsher criticism, fans or the public in general? Financials, people, employees. I mean, look, I know you said coming into this that you're an open book, and we're going to talk about forced pivots here in a little bit. But nobody in this room has been under as much public scrutiny for anything as you have.
I would say it's very funny because when you're playing a sport, you have a lot of fans, and it's a blessing and a curse. But I think a lot of times people complain about obstacles that are really opportunities. So when you really look at it, I might have dropped an interception and we lost the game, right? Now everybody like, Ryan sucks. You know what I'm saying? But emotionally that hurts. But that's an opportunity that I had and I dropped the play and I missed the ball, or I missed a tackle, or you missed a play, or, and in the day, like, we're entertainers. So it sucks when you're doing something, but it's part of your job. Like, sometimes people will make mistakes and people are like, man, I feel bad for them. And I say, I don't. Because when I played, nobody feel bad for me when I fucking lost.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, but in the day, it's like, it's part of life though. But I would say when it comes to like, when you're working with people, I would say sometimes that's harder because you're in the trenches with people. Sometimes they really letting you know how they feel. They're not letting you know how they feel based off of just emotion. They're letting you know how they feel based off of what they see. And I think when it comes to sports and fans, it's more about how people feel in the moment because of they might have a parlay or like they might have a fantasy team, and the thing is when I played, I didn't really focus on that. I just focused on, all right, I got to get my job done. Nobody's going to be more mad at me about how I did than myself. But when it comes to like business, it's like, all right, if you make a bad mistake, everybody in this room might lose a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make the wrong decision, everybody in this room is thinking like, all right, like, do I need to go on Indeed? Do I need to figure out what my next move is? And so it's like when people are actually making their life decisions based off of decisions you make, I feel like it's a little rougher. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like they have the right to be rude. They have the right to be upset, because if I make a decision right now, my foundation is called the Ryan Shazier Fund, right? If I make a decision, that decision I have people on my team that depend on me. That can crash everything down because every dollar that's raised helps them and it helps individuals with family. Like, it's also helping individuals with spinal cord injuries. So it's just like, if I do something wrong, they have the right to come to me and be like, yo, Ryan, like, now I have to move. Now I have to do this, and to me, I feel like being a fan, it's an opportunity, but it's like, hey, I also chose to be in the NFL, but when it comes to business, I feel like, to me, I give people grace. I understand, what it's like to be on the other side. I understand what it's like to lose something when you thought that it was right there in front of you. So I give them grace, but at the end of the day, I would say when people are bullying you, it don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to a business not working out, a play not working out, a game not working out, a career not working out as you would expect it to, we've all had moments like that in our lives. But because you've done so under such a bright public spectacle, I'm curious, what is the comparison between the mourning process, between an entrepreneurial venture that doesn't work out and a career which maybe felt stripped from you too soon?
So I can't really compare anything to when I lost football, because to me, I would say, and I'm not going to say this with every entrepreneur, but I know with my first venture, what I didn't put the effort that I needed. So I know exactly why I didn't succeed. When it comes to football, I did everything I was supposed to do. And literally I just went out there one day and it was gone. So for me, like I can't like, it's not even comparable. Like I can't, like, imagine like you just literally did everything possible and they're like, hey, think about it. If I was hurt 4 more games, I would probably be like $70 million richer. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of really hard to really to grasp like how to change the concept of that. So, but for me, I just look at it as like, I don't really regret any decisions I made when I played. I gave everything I had. So I don't look back and be like, man, if I did this or if I did that, maybe I will still be here. No, like I had a spinal cord injury. Like somebody can literally go outside and walk and go get their mail and get a spinal cord injury. Like it's not defined on what I'm doing to what happened to me. But when it comes to business, to me, I feel like I can always look back. I can always look back and be like, all right, I could have did this a little bit better. I could have did this a little bit better. I could have actually hired a better staff. I could have used a better system. And to me, I feel like I look back at that and I have a lot of regret, because I look at decisions that I made and it was like, Ryan, you didn't thoroughly go through all the detailed steps that you needed to be successful in this aspect. So now when I look at things that I'm getting into now, I go through all my due diligence. I have friends that are very successful. I talk to them. I go to my accountants. I literally talk to everybody possible before I make a move now. Before I was just like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot and I'm gonna try to do it and I'm gonna listen to this guy because this guy is doing something similar, and and it's like that's the luxury I had because of when I was playing, but everybody doesn't have that luxury, So to me, I felt like it was a blessing that I was able to like learn from that and pivot from that. But for me to like pivot from football into that is 2 different things, because when I lost football, I thought I was gonna play football for like 15 years, and I got hurt in year 4, and I know everybody say, hey, don't just put all your eggs in one basket, but I was one of the best players in the NFL at the time. It was like my eggs need to be all in. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like I was really, that's all I was focused on. I told myself I wanted to get in the business and I'll wait until I get everything kind of settled, and once I started to get it out of the NFL. But once I got to that moment, I was just like, so once I lost it, it was really hard for me to just grasp the understanding of like, all right, my life is changed immediately. Like, it's literally everything in my life changed, not just one thing, everything. I went from, making, millions of dollars to now, I didn't have disability at the time, so it went from millions of dollars to $0. I was still, the NFL took care of me, but technically it was millions of dollars to $0. Walking to not walking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just had a kid, so it was like from 1 kid to 2 kids. So it was just like, like I went from being the provider to now being provided for. Like everything changed in like a snap of a finger, so it was like, I can't really compare anything in life to that. But the one thing I can say, especially with me transitioning from what I went through, the mindset that I had overcoming all that was, no matter what, I'm going to get through this. So I've always had a really positive response, and I always knew like, hey, in life, there's an event that's going to happen in your life. It doesn't matter what the event is. and we're always going to have a response. So when you decide how your response is going to be, it can affect your outcome. And my outcome, in my head, I was like, hey, I'm going to overcome this no matter what I'm going through. And the outcome is where I'm at now, you know, and helping me get over everything else I did. But yeah, like, I don't know, I can't compare those two. Yeah.
Well, I'll drink to that. You know, being able to come back from something like that and surrounding yourself, you know, not only with positive mental energy, which I know is part of the process, is more than just healing, but also surrounding yourself with a new team, with the right team, to cut people from the roster who were fake ones and to keep with the real ones. We all know this too, in building teams and building businesses and building startups, where to us, it's high stakes. To us, it's everything or nothing. And so we'll talk about the specific first ventures you had, though, in the shadow of what you've now learned about what it means to find great team members and to properly vet them. So as a preface, these days, who's in your personal board of advisors? Who's somebody that you hold close to your circle? What do they look like? What experiences do they have? And what do you look for today in somebody who can teach you about tomorrow?
The thing is there's people in my circle that's been there the whole time. And then there's people in my circle that I met since my injury. So once I'm like, my parents, obviously they're there. I'm not going to talk about my parents. My parents are everything to me. But I would say somebody that I would say is my best friend, Jerome. I met him in 8th grade, and he was my trainer when I played in the NFL. And literally every single rehab session and every single session in the hospital, besides my ex-wife, he was there, you know, and he's still there to this day. You know, like I can call him right now and we both talk about how we both want to grow in life and how we both have these goals. And the thing is, like, I was reaching one of my goals and he was right there with me helping me reach it. And then obviously I came back down, and then I have another goal that I'm reaching for, and we're still right there together trying to help each other. I have mentors of companies, Fortune 500 companies. I have some of them are friends. I have people that, are like Coach Tomlin. They're in my circle. I think we're mentors and friendships and people that I lean on now. It's just kind of people I built relationships with, and then I just feel in this moment this is someone I can talk to, because I just don't feel like there's one person for every situation. So I'm just really good with just building relationships with different people, because everybody has experienced something so different. And then now I just kind of lean on all of them, ask them for their advice in certain situations, and then I make my decision off of that.
Tell me a story about an unexpected mentor that you found, or somebody that you took advice from along the way, maybe in a different walk of life from you, that maybe you didn't think you'd find guidance, but you did.
I'll think about that one for a second.
And the reason I ask that is because, like, I've had that in my journey, whether it be like my direct bosses in like the employed world and the startup world before I got into this, whether it be people who run businesses that I know nothing about, who have things that they've learned along the way that I can emulate in my own like media world. That's kind of what I mean. Like, I'm not sure what that means like in your world, but it's interesting the things that you learn in unexpected places, which is the genesis of the question.
So I would say this is a mentor that I just named him. So he's a very known person in the city. But the advice that he gave me was very different. So Coach Tomlin, he gave me some advice. So when I first started coaching, he decided, and I coached last year. This year I'm on staff, but I'm not a coach. And last year when I coached, I thought I was going to be on the defensive side, probably helping with the linebackers, and he ended up actually putting me on the offensive side of the ball. And
Why?
I was helping with the running backs.
Why did you do that?
And his mentor, what he was saying was basically, Ryan, people don't learn or grow in the place of comfort. They grow in places of discomfort. It was like, if I put you on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to be extremely comfortable. So I'm going to put you over somewhere that you're almost learning every single day. So I ended up going with the running backs. And from a defensive standpoint, everything that I was learning was the complete opposite of what I knew. So it's like I knew things, But it was just like the terminology was different, what I thought was different. And then it would be funny because then I would talk to defensive coaches that I was real close with, and we'll talk about route concepts, and they were like, yo, this is that. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's this. And it's like, it looks the same. I'm like, it's not that. And so, but it was like, then he was like, man, offensive coaches just think like they know everything. I'm like, no, this is what they call it. Like, so, but it was just really funny because then it was just like, now, like when I go to the facility, I just don't go over there and hang out with the defense all day. I actually be on both sides of the ball, and like I understand both sides of it. But it really just opened my eyes up and my mind up to like there's different ways to skin a cat, and I really enjoyed it, and it was something that I'm truly thankful for because I didn't think I would I didn't think that was something I was going to be doing when I first got into coaching.
Right. So then let's move from the field and coaching to being coached, well or otherwise. I got to ask about these first entrepreneurial ventures that didn't work out after your football career. And this is because most of the people here in the room are people who have been serial entrepreneurs. They've had stuff not work out. Maybe they're early stage entrepreneurs now and don't see it coming, but it will. It might happen to me. So if you could, tell us the story of that business that didn't work out, but specifically within the lens of the mentor or the advisor that you had that you didn't properly vet. And then we'll talk about vetting criteria.
All right, cool. So I would say I'm a very optimistic person. So like if I say I'm getting into anything, I feel like it's going to succeed. I don't care if it's, I'm about to be selling ducks on the river. I'm like, hey, we're going to,
Is that a scoop? Are you going to do that for real?
I'm just saying, I just feel like if I'm involved, it's going to succeed. So basically, a friend of mine, we're not really friends anymore. A friend of mine, both of us were really into cars a lot. So we both like cars a lot. And so with us liking cars a lot, I wanted to kind of get into a space. This is actually my first business out, like before I got into football. After football.
Okay, so the first cut.
The first cut.
And it's like you were this high profile guy, and now you're going to make a splash in the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
And you've got this person that who you consider your friend at the time, and you've got an area that you're passionate about, cars. That's really cool. Flash is cool for anybody.
Yeah, so I love cars. So I was like, all right. So then he like shipped cars a lot because he goes to Florida and things like that. So then I was like, all right, cool. Like, man, an industry that I think I'll be interested in, and it's a very profitable business. So I ended up getting into transportation. So I started shipping cars. So when I started shipping cars, and so I started asking people around, before you start a business, sometimes you're like, hey, if I start this business, what do you think? Do you think this would be something that you'll support? And I went to different car dealerships and different people. And so I started asking different people about like their support. And they was like, yeah. So then once so then I was like, all right, I'm gonna start this. So then I started to ask people around, like, all right, do you know somebody that I can kind of lean on? Because instead of me just like going on YouTube and looking at this guy's course and like buying his course, you know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, like, let me see if I know somebody.
Sure.
So then the guy was like, hey, I know this guy. He does car hauling as well. But his business was more of, he was a independent, like he was a 3PL. So 3PL is third party logistics. So he's more of the middleman. He's not actually the car hauler. So I actually was the car hauler. Mm-hmm. So basically, this is why I said I didn't do enough vetting and enough information. So basically I had a guy that was the middleman teaching me how to be a car hauler. So it was like, it's two people, like you're teaching me a field that you're not in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you're close to it, you're adjacent to it, but you're not in the field.
Sure.
But a friend of mine like recommended him. It wasn't like they were trying to hustle me or anything. It was just like a friend of him recommended him. He was like, I use him a lot. He probably can help you out. And he said he'll mentor you. So then I ended up paying a lot more than I wanted to. So I ended up paying for his mentorship. And
really?
Yeah. So I ended up paying for his mentorship.
Okay.
So then, and I don't want to say the number because
it's all right.
I ended up paying for the mentorship. And then as I'm going paying through the mentorship, like little things that he was saying was like, I was like, man, everybody I know, I have a lot of friends that are very successful in business. And almost 90% of them say, hey, you have to pay for good people. You have to have good people around you. Like the better the people, sometimes you need people that are smarter than you and like to help you be successful in business. And this guy was just like, nah, you don't need none of that. You just gotta,
Really?
You're just like, hey man, you just like, if you pay them 9 to 5, because at the end of the day, it's like what they're doing is not super difficult, right? And I was like,
Yikes.
so like, it's not making sense because like the friends that are telling me this stuff, I could have, the friends that are telling me this stuff, I'm like, this don't sound the same. And it's like, he is vastly less successful than these other people I'm talking about.
Sure, right.
You know what I'm saying? So then I was like, but he was in the same field. So I was like, all right, cool. So then I ended up hiring some people. And just like, even from the beginning, I just noticed that like their work ethic, like how they're showing up to work, like just their attitude while they're at the office, it was just like, man, like these are not the type of people that I want around me. Like, so like I wasn't really happy. And I'm not saying that I just have to like you to work for me. I'm not saying that, but I want, like, to me, I need somebody that's high energy, that's trying to like, hey, like, like kind of Wolf of Wall Street vibes. Like we're all getting it. You know what I'm saying? Like not really Wolf of Wall Street, but like,
Really? Yeah.
But it's just like we all like really committed about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like they just came in. It was like once 9 o'clock came, like they're rolling in the door at like 8:59, and then it's just like once 4:58 hit, they're like closing their computer, and it's like they're out. And I'm like, so then I started noticing that, and then I'm like paying for the mentorship, and then he's like, and then once I stopped paying him, I asked him for like more advice, and he was like, yo, you gotta pay more. And I'm like, so then I was like, man, like, so then, that just kind of gave me a little ill taste in my mouth. And then some of the people that I like asked about before about like, will you be willing to help? They weren't willing to help. Like they said they would help, and then once I asked them to actually like step up to the plate, they was like, already have somebody that's doing it. So then, but it's like the thing that was working well was I was actually getting in front of businesses and doing the work for businesses. So I was like, all right, cool. Like we still figuring it out. And then like, this is the bad part about me as being an optimistic person. So when I started seeing things start going really well, so at that time I had 2 trucks. So I had 2 trucks and 3 drivers. So then I was like, all right, cool. Then I got another truck, and then I had 3 trucks and 3 drivers. So then it was like going well. The thing is with trucks is you got to always keep them on the road, and you got to always make sure that like you're not deadheading back. Like you just can't be having your truck driving with nothing on it.
Right.
And then so I didn't equate for that enough. Then I didn't equate for just people being people.
Tough when they do that, Right?
Yeah. It's like one of the guys was like, one of my drivers was like, man, I need to take the day off. I'm like, no, like this, you don't have time off. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then he was just like,
how many people have related to that before in their career? Huh?
And then he was just like, I gotta take the day off because it's my dog's birthday. I'm like, I was like, I'm an animal person. Like I like that you like your dog, but I'm sorry, bro. Like you gotta drive. Like you know what I'm saying? Like this is part of the job.
Sure.
And so then I started, so people started being people, and then this is my fault. I jumped the gun. So I started buying more trucks. So I started counting before like the numbers actually made sense to buy trucks, I started buying trucks. So then I had like 3 other people sign up to be drivers, and then I was like, all right, cool, I have 5 trucks. Then one of them like got flagged because they couldn't drive because they failed the test and things like that. And then now I got 5 trucks and 4 drivers. Then one of the trucks broke down. I still got to pay for that truck. And then it just started being like a trickling effect of like everything's not going well. Then my best drivers decided like I can't drive no more, and he quit. So then it was just like, now it's just like shit start rolling downhill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
then it was just like, all right, cool. And then it's like I'll try to find like different ways to get back in it. And, you try to like, all right, let me try to take out a loan and like try to figure things out. And like, then it just like so much stuff started accumulating, and you're like, man, like, all right, man, like this business is dying, like I gotta like shut it down, but it wasn't good.
So I have to ask, because that being the first venture that you had out of a career that you perhaps felt cheated out of early, something you thought you'd be in 15 years, that first swing is a miss. How do you come back from that?
I'm not really a guy that's just like going to mope about not doing good. It's like there's been times I lost a football game. Does that mean I just don't play the next one? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of just like how my mindset been. So, I kind of just took a break from it. But then it also, like, the thing that's really, this is the thing that really frustrates me. I actually started that trucking company around the same time I started as my foundation, right? But the foundation, I started it with all my good mentors, and they're telling me how to run it,
right,
and how to build it. So it's just like, I'm building one company. It's like, why not build the same company? Like,
sure.
Why not build it the same way? And then it's like, now my foundation is doing great. We've been 5 years strong, and it's just like we have a new she's an executive director for over a year now, but we have a great team. We're hiring people. We're expanding over multiple states. We've given over $1 million out in direct stipends. And it's like I took a hit there, but then like my foundation's still doing well. So it's just like, all right. So it's like, dang, that hurts, but it's just like, all right, come on, keep on moving on.
Right.
But then I also really love engaging and speaking and being a public speaker. So once I seen that fail, I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to allow that to knock me down from everything else that's going on in my life. So that's kind of my mindset.
So these great mentors and advisors allowed you to build the foundation, which is a massive success today. In contrast to that story, the founding principles then that you set in place for the foundation, what are they? How did they differ? And how hard did those successful business people have to push you to say, Ryan, get out of your own head. The trucking thing ain't working. This will.
Yeah, so they did tell me a few times. I'll say they tell me more than a few times that, like, it was like, Ryan, why are you even in that? Like, you don't care about it as much as you think you care about it.
How forcefully did they have to do that to, like, shake you out of something that was your passion in cars?
Yeah, no, it took them a while, but then once you start paying bills.
Oh, yeah.
When you start paying bills, and you're like, I'm paying bills for shit that's not even broken. Like, I need to shut this down. Like,
right.
So like, because then those bills started affecting like my home bills, and it's like, once you're starting affecting like food, not literally, but affecting food on my kids' plate, like, I got to shut this down. Mm-hmm. So then, we started firing people. And the one thing that I learned from that business is, unfortunately, I learned how to fire people. And I had to learn how to let people go. And I learned I had some good people on my team too, and I had to let them go too. And like, that was hard, like just understanding how to fire people. And now I'm learning is like, fire fast, hire slow. Like, I'm learning, like, even when it comes to just little things like that. But they did help me a lot. The one thing I would say that was a big difference from my foundation and the trucking company, I had a board of directors. I have a board of directors for my foundation. So like, I can just go out there and be like, hey, we're moving this foundation to Africa. And they'll be like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're like, we're based here in Pittsburgh, and this is how we're based, and we're going to keep growing out like this. It's like, I can't make just one decision by myself. When the last company, I was able to do that. I would say, like, for instance, we expanded from Pennsylvania, like 2 hours outside of Pennsylvania, to all of Ohio, all of West Virginia, all of PA. That's a large region now. Like, so for us, because we just in that little area we've been in, we've given over $1 million. So now, like, to add all that space is a lot. So that means we have to gain more money and things like that. We had to get like a majority vote for that. Because like, now that means the board believes that we can continue to raise the monies to be able to help the families in those areas. So like, just things like that, just having multiple eyes on it. I think that's one of the biggest things. We're really big on governance, just the way that we make sure how every dollar is spent, how we spend every dollar, and making sure that, we focus on like programs and making sure that every family is taken care of. Like, so it's really like the way that we structure the business is so much governance in it, the way the foundation is set up compared to how the trucking company was.
I'll come back to the concept of a board of support in just a second, but to return to the mentor thing for one final thought, how do you vet mentors now today, and how would you recommend that anybody in the audience here tonight do so if they were to meet a potential one tomorrow?
I think when it comes to vetting mentors, it's just building relationships. Like, I think the bigger the relationship I have with somebody, the more likely I am to ask them questions. But like when I start asking people questions, and I'll ask another mentor that I already have for a very long time a similar question. If your answers start sounding like the last ones I had, you just know, like, once you start talking to me, I'm just going to say duly noted. It's just like.
So if I'm ever on the phone with you and I tell you to do something, you say duly noted, I know that I said the wrong thing. Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, all right, I'm writing it down, but I'm not about to use that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm not going to disrespect how you feel, but it's just like, that might work for you, but like, I'm going to lean on the things that have worked for me. And the things that have worked for me is leaning on the people that have been doing well in their life, and my life has been doing better when I listen to them more than when I've listened to people when I already don't kind of agree with their advice. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one way. And it's just kind of like their book of business, they're like what they've been through in their life. There's a lot of successful people that aren't great mentors, but like, you can look at what they did and then look at the people that they've helped. Like somebody that's a mentor, like normally they probably mentor someone else, and they don't normally have a problem introducing to you to that other person. They don't have a problem, talking to you about the things that they help other people do. So, and I'm not saying like in a way of being arrogant, just being in a way of like, hey, is there somebody that you helped in this aspect I can talk to? Sometimes they might say, yeah, it depends on how private your field is. Sometimes they might say no, but I just think just once I start leaning on people and just understanding that, all right, I can really trust this guy and I'll build a relationship with this guy. And I know like what he tells me, if I put that into action, if it hurts me that he's honest, he's going to feel hurt himself, I can lean on him a little bit more. Like obviously he might not be as invested, but if he's like, hey, Ryan, hey, I think if you put, $100 into this chair right here, it's going to turn into $1 million, then I lose that 100. Then that was all the money I had. And he's like, damn, Ryan, I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I can understand, like, I respect that more than if he's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? So
I found it's been like especially for somebody who hasn't been here that long. I've only been here 3 or 4 years, which in the context of being from Pittsburgh is nothing really. But I have found a really open network of people here who I can say, hey, could you introduce me to this person, that person, and I can ask for advice. And thankfully, so far, I've gotten relatively consistent advice. I was burned early in my first entrepreneurial venture outside of like employed world, where I got burned for about 6 figures worth of cash in the first year that I operated. And in all of the people that I have met since, and I've relayed that story to, they like immediately told me what was wrong with that. And it feels like that mentor that you had, that advisor that was like, yeah, that was bad advice. I just didn't know, because I walked in and I had a fresh face and I said, oh, I got a whole bunch of talent in this particular world. Damn it, I'm going to kill it. And then all of a sudden, something gets swept from under you that you wouldn't have seen. But I've seen since moving to Pittsburgh that it's been helpful for me personally. I'm sure that everybody here can agree with that. Speaking of people here to help, I have a few people here that I want to shout out, and I have a particular reason why, actually. There are 4 in particular, 4 organizations. The first, we all know very well because we're sitting in their space right now. Studio Meat Productions, which is hosting our hosting venue here for tonight, has done absolutely fantastic work within top-down marketing campaigns, commercials, things like that for some of the biggest brands out there and mainstays in Pittsburgh, some of whom are here tonight. But obviously, we are a podcast, and you'll see tonight, you'll see some of the podcast studios that they have at their disposal. They have some fantastic tech. So thank you to Studio Me, thank you to Joe, Keith, to the guys. I've known them for a couple of years, even prior to moving here, and this is a wonderful quasi-grand opening event for this space. There are 3 others that I want to talk about, and again, I promise I have a reason. The first is BAB Inc. They're here tonight. Greg's here tonight. A long-standing Pittsburgh-based independent insurance broker, third-party administrator, consulting firm focusing on proactive data-driven strategies called Well Advised for better health, safety, and financial outcomes for businesses and individuals, helping companies manage risks and costs through services like claims support, safety training, wellness programs, and financial wellness coaching. Also, they got a Super 6 base in their building called Blitzburg, which, have you ever been there?
No.
All right, well, they're going to invite you there tonight. VPO, a cloud-based collaboration platform built just for construction project teams, easily configurable and user-friendly. VPO designed to enhance efficiency and productivity while minimizing risk. Also a woman-owned business enterprise here in Pittsburgh that's been running project management through tech since 1984. Now, the reason why I bring each of those up before I get here to the last call and ask you for some advice as we round out tonight, is because together, Thought Leaders, Authentic Avenue, and those organizations have joined together. And, we've been around for a year. You can look on YouTube right now. I got like 150 subscribers. It's not the biggest show in the world, although we've got great talent. And tonight we've joined together to make a donation to the Ryan Shazier Fund.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for everything that you do in this community. We appreciate that. Which, by the way, means everybody get your checkbooks open, right? And get a QR code, go to the website, and donate tonight. Now, as we round out tonight, we're going to get to the last call, and I will do one last sip before we do this. Thank you to Como's Tequila once again for sponsoring the event.
Can I get another 4?
Yeah, you damn hell straight. You get another 4, grab it. Matter of fact, you can fill me up too.
Yeah,
all right.
I got you.
In closing here, you've built this foundation. It runs differently from your early entrepreneurial ventures. You pay your talent properly. You got proper leadership. You got a board of directors. In comparison to leading that team on the field, how does it feel to run a team that works?
The thing is with me, I think it's kind of hard to explain. Like that's funny. Like when you're playing football, you want people to. The NFL is different, like, because everybody has a goal. Like our goal. But everybody's goals are different. Like, my goal was to be a Super Bowl champion and a Hall of Famer. I can probably name 7 guys on that defense with me that was not their goal.
Really?
Not to be a Hall of Famer.
Why not? That's the whole reason you get on the field, isn't it? To go for greatness, to go for glory, to go for it all?
Not everybody. And I'm not saying that guys, and the thing is, that's the thing. I heard a lot of people saying, The thing is like, when you go to work, right, everybody has a goal. Like, just because your goal and my goal ain't the same doesn't mean your goal is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like you can, like, I know guys that just wanted to make the most money they possibly could. So, but it's just like if you go out there and ball out, you're making the most money you possibly can. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. If I'm being, the only way to be in the Hall of Fame is ball out. You know what I'm saying? Well, so it's like we both wanted the same thing, but it's just different goals. To me, I think I have the same approach when it comes to the foundation. And I really understand that, like, my goal is to, like, help everybody that has a spinal cord injury one way or another. If I can help you mentally, if our foundation can help you financially, or, if spiritually or whatever, I just want to be able to provide resources for individuals with spinal cord injuries across the world. We're not there yet. That's like one of my goals is to impact 1 billion people. I don't know how to like record that. You know what I'm saying?
You just did.
Yeah. Well, No, I know how to record it, but I'm talking about like recording.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I think it's very impactful to allow other people to know that you can overcome. So like when it came to football, like I got close to a lot of my teammates. So when it came to leading them, it's just you have to find different ways to lead. When I used to play football, I was the first person in the facility. So if I'm the first person in the facility and I'm asking you to do something, you're more likely to believe me because you know that I'm putting the work in, right? And I build a relationship with you. So if I'm asking you to do something, it's a lot easier for you to be like, all right, Ryan, like I know Ryan put the work in and he cares about me. He's not about to say, hey, we're checking this play because he wants me to see me do bad. Like there were plays when I seen TJ was out there lined up on Mike Wallace. I would check the play because I'm like, that's a bad look for us. So, but it was like, that's a bad look for us because that's a bad look for TJ. This might be a good defense, but that's a bad look for TJ. Like that means we have to get here right now because TJ's the best player in the NFL. But at the end of the day, he's not the best cover player in the NFL. Right. So it was just like when at that time, that was his rookie year, but at that time it was just like, all right, let me change this, put somebody else on him, or like I'll go get him. And then it's like, all right, then TJ ended up getting a sag or somebody gets a sag, and it's like we end up winning, but it wasn't because I'm I'm looking out for me. It's like I'm looking out for you, you know. And to me, I think that's the same approach when I have with my team now. It's just like I build a relationship with everybody. Like I joke around, we joke around a lot, but it was just like, let me build a relationship with you, because at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to talk to people, ask them to do something different, to ask a lot of them if you actually care about them. When you care about people, they're more willing to go a little bit further than when you don't. And that's the approach I have now. And I had that same approach when I played football. It was just a little bit different. Like I can talk to people a little bit different because it's football.
Yeah.
Like I can say, hey, what the fuck are you doing in football? If I say that in the office space, it's like, yeah.
Like, what the hell? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you just kind of understanding the dynamic, but I think that really helps out a lot. It just like my team, we can talk to each other like that, but we don't. But it just, we all care about each other. So when I'm like, hey, I need this or I need that, like we have a really good relationship, and they know that we all care about each other. We joke about stuff, and it's just little things. Like for instance, I'm not Jewish, but I have 2 ladies on my team that's Jewish. So it's like I always ask her stuff about kosher because I don't know. So like I'm like, all right, can you eat chicken parm? And she's like, no. And I'm like, damn, like
It's like, that's too bad. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like we just joke around, but it's just like more of like, it's just more because I care about her. Like, you know, we just play around. But it's like when I ask her something, it's just like she know I'm asking more because we have a good relationship and I care.
Right.
Not just because I'm trying to be like her leader. Yeah. You know, and I think like when you approach people like that, you get way more out of them. And that's something I learned from football and from, you know, not having my first business work.
So we come here to the last call. And this is basically just an ask for advice as we round out, because you've got a lot of people in this room who are the first in their respective facility, who feel like slapping some of their team on the head saying, what the fuck are you doing at times? But they're all looking to get to their respective halls of fame, to win the game at hand. And as somebody who has done that in the public limelight, as somebody who has done that under a public spotlight, what advice can you give to walk away from that we can all impart between now and the end of the year to help to get a little bit better, whether it be in vetting a mentor, whether it be in treating a team better, or whether it be in maybe cutting something off that doesn't feel right? What advice can you leave us with tonight as we round out Thought Leaders?
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten from Coach Tomlin, and I read this a lot, is go to a place of uncomfortability, because that's where you're going to grow. You know, most people see like, all right, this is the space that I'm in. I'm very comfortable here. You see opportunity, it's like, I don't know, I don't feel that comfortable. Sometimes I feel like if you just push yourself out there a little bit more and try to learn in that space, you're going to grow, because it's going to allow you to learn something that you didn't know before. And normally when you're learning something new, it's going to either help you propel you in whatever you're doing now, or it's going to let you know like, all right, I'm not doing enough. Let me try to pivot. You know, or let me try to change, or it might let you know like, oh, the industry I'm in, it might be dying. Let me find some way to make it better, you know? And I think a lot of times people get scared of trying something new. And then when you get scared of trying something new, you get left behind. So I think it's, you know, trying, you know, get in a place of uncomfortability so you can find ways to grow.
Well, for everything that you've taught us tonight, for some stories I think that really haven't been shared much, especially around the entrepreneurial ventures that you've had, it's all something that we can walk away and learn from tonight. We appreciate everything that you've done on and off the field. Thank you for continuing to champion via the fund and for showing us a little bit here about how to build great teams going forward. Ryan Shazier, thank you for being a thought leader and sharing a drink with me on Thought Leaders tonight.
No problem at all. I'm glad to be here.